While many wonder, is The Exorcist based on a true story? They would be shocked to know that this is the case. The real Exorcist story is based on the possession of Ronald Doe. It was first written in a book by a man named William Blatty, who was inspired to write the novel after reading about Ronald Doe's case while he was a student at Georgetown University. Then came along The Exorcist movie, and The Exorcist was adapted into the director Franklin's 1973 film and starred 12-year-old Linda Blair as Regan, a young girl who becomes possessed. While the movie is clearly dramatised, using convincing special effects to thrill its audience, The Exorcist's true story is just as chilling. Though the movie tells the tale of a young girl possessed by a mysterious entity, much of The Exorcist is based on a true story about a young boy in Cottage City, Maryland during the 1940s. Ronald Doe was not identified for almost a decade, but many experts believe his real name is Ronald Hunkeler. He stayed out of the public eye, but since his death in 2020, more information about his story has come out. With David Gordon Green's The Exorcist Believe are on the way, there's no better time to look back at the real Exorcist story. Who is the real Regan? And what truly happened to Ronald? In March of 1949, newspapers reported that a 14-year-old boy known as Robbie or Ronald Doe was possessed by something sinister, and that the exorcist priest performed an exorcism on him. The boy, raised in a German Lutheran family, was no stranger to paranormal things in life. After asking for a Ouija board for his birthday, his Aunt Harriet gifted him one. Now Ronald was particularly close to his Aunt Harriet and loved her very much. When she passed away, it really affected him. So he would turn to his Ouija board. After she had passed away, he began to experience creepy and abnormal things around the house. Rattlings on the wall, strange noises, and flying objects. Now, since The Exorcist is based on a true story, many of the events that Robert experienced ended up in the film. Since Robert had noticed strange things going on in his house after the death of his aunt, Robert would then reach for his Ouija board. He wanted to contact her. He wanted to find out if these anomalies around the house were her. But this led to scratches all over Robert's body in bed. Robert's family decided they would have him baptised to see if this helped the situation, but it didn't. Ronald's family contacted every expert possible, all leading to dead ends. Ronald even spent a stint in a psychiatric hospital, thinking he was going crazy. After getting no answers, the family finally received help from Father Raymond J. Bishop, and multiple exorcisms were performed in The Real Exorcist, the real exorcism of Ronald. The first exorcism of Ronald had to be stopped early because Ronald ripped off a piece of the mattress spring and threw it at the priest. A few days later, Ronald started getting red scratches with the mark spelling the word Lewis. This alerted the family to go to St. Louis University, where he was introduced to Father Walter H. Holleran and Reverend William Bowden. After Ronald and his family told him of the predicament that they were in and everything that Ronald was going through, Reverend William Bowden decided to perform an exorcism there and then on Ronald. When Bowden left a crucifix under Ronald's pillow, the family saw the furniture flip over Ronald's mattress, shaking uncontrollably, and the crucifix pushed to the end of the bed. Now, while The Exorcist is based on a true story, there's one thing it just doesn't get right, and that's how many exorcisms Ronald endured, and how many different locations he had them in. Ronald Doe received exorcisms at his home, Georgetown University Hospital, and the Alexian Brothers Hospital. With each exorcism, Ronald Doe allegedly spoke in Latin, urinated, vomited, spit, spoke in a deep and unfamiliar voice. Ronald's last exorcism was performed with the help of priests Walter Halloran and William Van Roo, and the Halloran got his nose broken at some point during the ritual. Nevertheless, the priest claimed that this final attempt was successful. So what happened to this boy, Ronald Doe, who the Exorcist movie is based on? Let's have a look into who Ronald Doe allegedly is. So there's been much mystery surrounding Ronald Doe, despite the fact that The Exorcist is based on a true story. Over 75 years later, experts believe that the real Exorcist victim is Ronald Hunkeler, a former NASA engineer who helped with the 1969 moon landing. Hunkeler died of a stroke just a month shy of his 86th birthday in 2020. He passed away at his home in Marriottsville, Maryland, after a series of exorcisms that Hunkeler went through as a child. He actually had an incredibly successful career as an adult, working for NASA. Ronald helped patent the technology to make space shuttle panels resilient to extreme heat for the Apollo mission of the 1960s. Not many people knew about his secret identity, except for a few close friends, academics, as well as the Jesuits who knew the priests who performed the exorcism. According to his partner, Hunkeler was always very worried that his co-workers would find out and would even leave his home every Halloween terrified that someone would harass him after it came out that the Exorcist movie is based on his true story. Hunkeler retired from NASA in 2001 after 40 years. Now, Roland really didn't want the story out there. He was not thrilled when he found out a movie was being made on his life story. And how that story got out was due to an author named William Blatty, who passed away in 2017. Well, he got the idea for The Exorcist when he was studying at Georgetown University. A professor had a lecture about exorcisms, specifically mentioning Ronald's story. The lecturer mentioned a diary that one of the Jesuit priests had, and he was able to get a copy. Blatty also contacted Reverend William Bowden, who had performed one of the exorcisms out of all the many priests that had performed exorcisms on Ronald. And William Bowden, with his information, adapted Roland's story into a book named The Exorcist. And Blatty's novel was such a hit, it ended up on the bestsellers list for many, many months. A couple of years later, however, William Friedkin contacted Blatty because he wanted to turn Blatty's book into a movie. Blatty agreed, came on board, and it was him that wrote the script for the movie. Now, to keep Roland's identity and the fact that The Exorcist is based on a true story under wraps, Blatty had to change a few things. Roland became a 12-year-old girl instead of a 14-year-old boy, and Regan's mother was changed to a single parent as opposite to having a huge family. The violent outbursts in Roland's creepy low-toned voice all occurred, but the infamous ceiling crawl and head spinning have never fully been confirmed. However, they've never been denied either. So whether these things truly happened, we can only but guess. Something that didn't appear in the Exorcist movie, however, was the X that appeared in scratches on Ronald's chest, signifying that 10 demons possessed Roland. And in the real Exorcist, the cuts in Roland's skin saying the words Lewis was changed to help me, taking away the fundamental aspect of moving to St. Louis for an exorcism. Although a few things were left out, Blatty kept much of the Exorcist true story horror closely tied to the novel. This included both Roland and Regan acting oddly after playing with the Ouija board, only acting strange at night, as well as the two acting extremely violent when the religious objects were presented to them. In the end, the true chilling story of the real exorcism is much more terrifying than the novel and film. You imagine a young child, a young 14-year-old boy who went through this terrible experience of being possessed by 10 demons, having multiple exorcisms, having to move to multiple places to get these exorcisms, being attacked in your bed, scratched, being terrified. I just couldn't imagine. And as the moral of the tale, we just don't fool around with the supernatural. Don't open a Ouija board and invite spirits into your life. You never know what you're going to get. It could be one of these dark, evil demons. Or in Roland's case, 10. What do they say when there's multiple possessions? So we are legion. But thankfully, by the grace of God and with the help from the priests, they were able to expel these demonic entities. And Ronald could lead a normal life, although plagued by this nightmare that he went through. Now, it's been announced that a new Exorcist trilogy is in the works, and there's a lot of confusion whether it's a sequel or reboot. Reportedly, the new 2023 Exorcist movie, The Exorcist Believer, is considered a sequel to the original movie franchise. If I'm honest, I doubt that the new Exorcist movie will follow the same premise as The Exorcist based on a true story tale. Where The Exorcist is both based on a true story and William Blatty's book, the second and third installments are entirely products of Hollywood. But they'll still be great to see for a good scare. So I hope you enjoyed this, guys. I tried to condense it down with just basically factual evidence, and rather than going into scrupulous detail. However, my next spooky video is nearly an hour and a half long, which goes into so much detail because I really enjoy doing these videos, and the next video I enjoyed putting together so much. Even this video has taken so much time to edit, and yes, it takes a lot of time to do videos. And I really hope you have enjoyed this, and I know it's a basically kind of short, kind of spooky video. If you want, I can do another one going into the details of the exorcisms that Roland endured. I just wanted to do a summary kind of video first to see how this kind of took off. I wasn't sure, but yeah. If you like this kind of content, please hit the subscribe button, please like, and I'll say at the end of this, like, I'm not monetized, so I have a donation thing in the description. It does go to help towards the channel, but as I said, I'm not monetized. But yeah, I'll see you guys for the next one. Stay spooky.